It's 1998. ESPN magazine has just released its first ever edition. On the cover are 4 athletes. Alex Rodriguez, a baseball player who would go on to hit 696 career home runs. Kobe Bryant, a basketball legend quite possibly beyond description. Eric Lindros, a hockey Hall of Famer, and I know that he was good because my good friend Wardy told me that in the back of a car in the middle of North Carolina. And this guy, Kordell Stewart. Deal or no deal legend, Kordell Stewart. Peak Kordell Stewart was one of the coolest athletes in the world on one of sports' most historic teams. He had a role that was incredibly unique for its time, and something every kid dreams about doing. And he was a pioneer to other guys in his league that have since followed in his footsteps. A man who used to be simply known as Slash. As in, quarterback / running back / wide receiver. No credit in the nickname for the 6 punts he'd end up having in the NFL too. Yes, I've played Guitar Hero 3. I know who the other Slash is. I'll smoke you in Through the Fire and Flames if I have to. And yes, you'll get your dose of chiseled Adonis insight later on in the video. But first, hey, my name's Mike. If you like what you see here, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. That stuff really does mean a lot. There's a reason why all the YouTubers always say it. Now, let's talk about the best sports secret weapon you've never heard of. Or just don't remember, or never knew about in the first place. Kordell Stewart was drafted in the second round of the 1995 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers as a quarterback. Last time I talked about a highly drafted Steelers quarterback, you guys liked it, so here we are again. And Kordell was a damn good college quarterback. Look at this absolutely insane game-winning throw he had in college, to a receiver that eventually went on to be on Bully Beatdown. Absolutely insane show there too. The second Kordell got to training camp, it was obvious that he was a ridiculous athlete, and that the Steelers were lucky to have him. The Steelers' number 1 receiver was running sprints, and here came Kordell, a quarterback, passing him by. This was before Michael Vick. Quarterbacks weren't like this yet. The Steelers also had a starter by the name of Neil O'Donnell, who was a pretty good NFL quarterback until the Jets got a hold of him. So Kordell wasn't going to start anytime soon. That's where the Steelers coach, aka this guy you've probably seen on one of the TVs at Applebee's on a Sunday afternoon, came up with a plan. Get Kordell on the field by any means necessary. Seeing playing time as too good an opportunity to pass up, Kordell told Sports Illustrated before his rookie year, "I'll play whatever position they want me to play, and I'll take the ball whenever they want to give it to me." Then came Project Slash. For his first year in the NFL, he assumed that role of quarterback / running back / wide receiver, and he was sweet in it. He threw 7 passes as technically the 4th string quarterback on the roster. One of them went for a touchdown. He had 15 carries on the ground for 86 yards. One of them went for a touchdown. And he was targeted in the air 20 times with 14 catches and 235 receiving yards. One of them went for a touchdown. He even caught a touchdown pass in the AFC Championship game that helped the Steelers go to the Super Bowl his rookie year. They lost. Either way, this kind of play style just wasn't happening in football at the time, unless you were 8 years old playing in a backyard. It's one thing to have multiple different uses on the field, like maybe being a running back who can go out and catch passes, or a regular offense or defense guy who also plays really well on special teams. Kordell Stewart played the 3 flashiest skill positions on offense, and showed talent in all of them. Take that, Tom Brady. He was a revolution, though. You could find him in commercials as the worst newspaper delivery guy ever, and having George Costanza's dad chew out guys over his play.
These billboards could sit through a Kordell Stewart double feature. They couldn't slow him down if they ran the film backwards.
It should mean something that they gave him 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting too. The 4th string quarterback. Everyone ahead of him started at least 14 games that season. Slash started in 2. If that doesn't show you the kind of respect he was getting for his skill set in just his first year, I don't know what does. Even by that time, teams would spend hours agonizing over how to come up with plans to stop him. They fully knew he wasn't going to start, and would only come in for a couple plays per game, as like the Steelers' new secret weapon. Again, that is some respect right there. He could very easily cause chaos on those few plays, and they knew it. 1996 was similar. He just had more usage in all 3 of the positions. 3 receiving touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns. One of those was an 80-yard quarterback rushing touchdown that some 90s guy filmed on like an orange or something. I asked a friend to name a fruit, that's how I got that bit idea. Everyone loved him. At the time, this was the record for the longest touchdown run for a QB in NFL history, for a guy specifically listed as a wide receiver on the team's Wikipedia roster. They even put him on the cover of NFL Blitz after his 2nd year. This game. Like Mortal Kombat, but for football. But now, I'll be passing things off to a man who can be described with many different words. A Steelers fan, a great content creator, known Spirit Airlines fan, the Chiseled Adonis.
Alright, so boom, it is I, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. But of course, you already knew that. Now, when we talk about Cordell Stewart, you cannot not acknowledge the fact that we had never seen a caliber of a player like him in the league before he showed up. There was a lot of quarterbacks who can run. There wasn't a lot of quarterbacks who can run, throw, and catch. He was the first to do it while in his prime. Now, if you think about his impact, before he even became the starting quarterback in 97, he was able to catch a pivotal touchdown that led to an AFC championship victory that led to Pittsburgh going to the Super Bowl to go play against the Cowboys in Super Bowl 30. He had 2 touchdowns in a playoff game on the ground the following year in the wild card against the Colts to lead to a victory where Pittsburgh went on to the divisional. But Cordell in his prime was an absolute threat, whether it's through the air, on the ground, or throwing the football. After he became starting quarterback, he didn't have to throw too much, but he was a problem on the ground. He was somebody who could pick up first downs, whether it was 3rd and 7, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 22. You better keep a linebacker at home or he will run all over you. Who can forget about 2001? It was, I believe, week 15 or 14 to shore up the AFC Central Division. Before it was the AFC North, you had Cordell Stewart and the Pittsburgh Steelers take down the Baltimore Ravens. They needed to win that game to win the division, and it was Cordell Stewart's nearly 400-yard day that led to that victory. I believe it was 26-21. I'll never forget watching that as a little kid, seeing number 10 Slash run up and down the field all over the Baltimore Ravens, throwing 3 touchdowns, over 300 yards, 55 yards on the ground. It was beautiful. There was few quarterbacks who were just as electrifying as Cordell Stewart in their prime, and we must acknowledge him as one of the most exciting players to ever touch a football, especially for his era.
The story of Cordell Stewart shifts in 1997. He didn't want to be Slash anymore. He wanted to just be a starting quarterback. He got what he wanted. He took the Steelers back to the AFC Championship game in his first year as a starter.
In Avengers Endgame, Thanos says I am inevitable. This is actually a mistake from the screenwriters because his name's actually Thanos.
Oh, they lost, by the way. His play was very inconsistent. He retired with more interceptions thrown than touchdowns thrown. At his best, you could find him in the Pro Bowl as a quarterback. At his lowest, you'd see a turnover machine costing himself his starting job. Once in a while, that Slash versatility came back.
Cordell Stewart sighting. And Cordell, he's got fresh legs, Tom. Look at him go to the right end. Whoop!
From 1997 to his last day in the league, he caught 10 passes for 130 yards and a touchdown. But he's almost as much known for being the guy Tom Brady beat in his first ever AFC Championship game. They lost. Alright, you get it. By his own choice, he stopped being Slash. It's like when Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man threw his costume out. But it's weird to me that he isn't much more of a fondly remembered figure in sports culture. Taysom Hill is a guy most football fans know for playing practically every position on the field today, proudly snatching up all the fantasy points he can in the meantime. Deebo Samuel got tons of praise for being a top-end receiver and running back in 2021. The Jets kind of tried to use Tim Tebow in a role like that, but fumbled harder than the one fumble from that season everyone seems to remember. I don't know why. Even in baseball, it's recognized every single day how absurd Shohei Ohtani's talents as a pitcher and hitter are. So where's the Cordell Stewart love? How'd time only manage to bury his legacy instead of making it even more revered? Well, at least he could cook ordinary citizens as a receiver and as a passer in 2-on-2 football at a train station. Man, Pros vs. Joes was a great show. But he was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson, and Deebo Samuel before Deebo Samuel. To this day, he's still in the top 15 all-time for quarterback rushing touchdowns. Every time you see a really talented gadget player in today's game, make sure to remember the guy who paved the way for that kind of offense in the league.
Let's go, let's go! Let's go, let's go! Let's go, let's go!